Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I'm joined by the beautiful Kendra Anderson. Kendra, how you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
It is such an honor to have you here. But Kendra, before we talk about why you're here, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. You are a Canadian actress who works both in Vancouver and Toronto, not too far away from me, the Detroit boy. So, right across the river there in a little bit. But you started off doing television, and then started to go into feature films, indie films, commercials, voiceover, motion capture. You were like, if there's a form of media, I want to do it. So, what got you started in, doing your role as in all these amazing different types of media?
I fell in love with acting when I was 5. So pretty much from then on, you couldn't get me off a stage. And I went to musical theater school. And then from there, found film and television, got represented by an agent, and just kept doing what I love.
Yeah. And you do it very, very well. I love it when you're able to put all these different feathers in the cap. So, let's say
Thank
that,
you.
we're talking about doing feature films and then we're talking about television shows. These are two completely different animals. Do you have any different type of preparation when you're working on a TV show versus when you're working on a feature?
The prep is the same for me in terms of character, personalizing the story, making it meaningful for myself so I can understand the character and really invest myself in the character. I feel like it's more levels and pacing that really changes in terms of television versus film. So I feel
Okay.
with film, oftentimes there's less dialogue, a lot of close ups, it's very internal monologue. Where TV, it's a little bit more, I mean, you really have to hit the story because you have a
Sure.
condensed amount of time to tell it. So I find that the pacing in television is a lot faster, and a lot of it is really important information the audience needs to hear. Where in film, it's almost like the audience gets to discover it with you.
Right. And what I love about what you're saying is because, like you said, it is really a lot different. Because especially when you're doing,
Yeah.
like, let's say we're talking about when you were the priestess in The Last of Us.
Yes.
You have a longer set time, I would think, too, when you're doing a TV show because of the amount of episodes that you're in. And I'm not saying set times for film is easy. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm trying to say. But when you're doing episode after episode after episode, you kind of have that a longevity there. But you've also done, amazing folk horror like Horns with Daniel Radcliffe.
So fun.
That movie, man, it's so cool. So what was it like acting in a film like that was more of like a folk horror with Daniel Rad, obviously you're acting with at the time one of the hugest stars in the world in Daniel Radcliffe. And I love how he did,
Yeah.
the Harry Potter stuff, and then he seamlessly transitioned over into horror with Horns and The Woman in Black and things like that. So what was it like for you to be working with him on the set of a movie that's become kind of a cult classic?
Yeah, he was amazing. I was pretty new at the time, so was very nervous. And
Mhm.
he was so kind and just so chill. And what was so funny is I actually got cast in that. I did the audition like 6 months before and didn't hear anything. And then I got cast in it pretty quickly. And when I showed up to set, the thing that I thought I had done in my audition wasn't at all what the director wanted. And so we had to switch gears like very, very quickly. So it was a great exercise for me as an actor to be like, oh wow, okay, I'm not attached to this at
Sure.
all. Like what are we actually doing here? And so I had to think really quickly on my feet. And Daniel was just like he was just there for me the whole time. It was great. He was very, very accommodating as a scene
Sure.
partner, really.
Sure.
Yeah, it
And I
was
don't
fun.
mean this in a disrespectful way, but when you're that green going into a
Yeah.
project, and you're finding out at the last minute you got to do all these different things, it would be very nice to have someone with that experience to be working across from to kind of help guide you and, lead you along the way. And again, when I say green, a lot of people think I'm saying that as disrespectful, but we all start
No,
somewhere,
no. Oh yeah.
and when you get thrown into it and you're like, well, I thought I was doing this, but no, I'm doing this, to have someone to help make that transition a little bit easier, that's a very respectable thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like that's what I want to do for newer actors is to make them as
Mhm.
comfortable on set because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to do your best work because it
Sure.
should feel, I think, collaborative. And
Mhm.
unless you're willing to make mistakes, you won't take risks. So,
Right.
yeah, it was a really supportive environment on that film.
And I love to hear that because, like I said, when I watch films and I love films, I like to hear that there was a pleasant set. When you hear that there was a bad set or a overworking set, it kind of brings down the way you feel about the film sometimes when you see that
Yeah.
that type of stuff happens. But you also are a recurring guest star, and please forgive me if I say this wrong. Kentigernna McGrath, was that
Oh God,
close?
yeah.
Okay, on
Yeah.
AMC, BBC America's period drama, Cooper. So
Copper.
Copper. Okay,
Copper. Yeah, yeah. Like
now
the
I have.
old like a cop, like copper.
Okay, I've never heard of this. So I mean, I'll be
Yeah.
completely honest with you. Can you give us a little bit about Copper and what that's about?
Well, it's like Gangs of New York. So it's set in the
Okay.
1800s in New York City. We filmed it in Toronto in a sound stage, which was amazing. Unfortunately, the show's not running anymore, but for the length of time that it was, like it's a period piece. It's really dark. There's a murder every episode. My son gets murdered. And it's like it's gritty. Like when we were filming, they literally brought dirt into the soundstage. There was a guy making puddles. There was pigs running around. They made it snow at one point. It was movie magic. It was fantastic, and it was
That's
so fun.
incredible.
Like I got to do an Irish accent. Don't ask me to do it right now because it's been a while. But I got to work with a dialect coach. Like it was just a dream. Wear a corset. Like it was all the things. So it makes acting so easy because you're just actually living. You're just in the
That's
world.
awesome.
Yeah, it was
And
cool.
it's fun to see those behind the scenes stuff of them, creating stuff on sound stages,
Oh
creating the
yeah.
snow, creating the dirt and the mud. And I think that's such an incredible thing. I'm a big film enthusiast, so like I was lucky, Kendra. I grew up in a video store. My mom and dad owned a mom and pop video store when I was a kid called Downtown Video. And so movies have been a
Amazing.
part of my life, since I can remember. So to, pick your brain and hear a little bit about what you like to do. Um, I also want to talk about the reason we're actually here today because I was a huge fan, and if you guys have seen our review, you already know of R.L. Stine's Pumpkinhead. You played the mom in that, and I got to ask, and I'm sorry, guys, if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. You need to. It's free on Tubi. Make sure you're checking it out. And if you've seen the trailer, this isn't really a spoiler anyway, but how is it for you as a mother to do the acting of losing a child and not being able to remember them?
Oh yeah, that was hard. That was really hard. I thought you were gonna
One of the
ask.
hardest one of the
Yeah,
hardest lines in the movie is "You're my only child. I could never forget you." I was like, "Oh man."
I know, I know. I thought you were gonna ask how was it being a mom of two boys in a movie, and I was like, oh, it's the exact same as my life. It was the easiest thing ever. There's no acting, other than the fact that my boys, I have two boys. They're little. They're like 5 and 7. Um, yeah, I was shocked by Jem's script. I'm not gonna lie. When I actually read the script, I kept flipping to be like, like no spoilers, but like where, like, like what? It's a dark film. It was shocking to me, and so to actually go into that, and I do use substitution, which is when actors use something in their real life to
Yeah,
personalize it. So I was thinking about my boys when I was filming. And there's like one scene in particular, I was like a mess, like a crying mess. And that was, Jem was like, let's go there. Like, I know it's kind of a comedy, but to sell the comedy of it, like, that's actually the humor in the scene. But that was me really feeling that loss. And it was hard. It was really hard.
hmm,
But then I felt like it was so sweet to go home and they were like tucked in bed and asleep. So I just got to snuggle up with my boys and be so
sure.
grateful. So, I think that's the beauty of acting.
Yeah. It makes you appreciate other
Yeah,
things a lot more when you're
I think
acting about
so.
loss, and then you have the perfect thing that you have at home with the loves of your life, and I
Yeah.
get that, with my kids, like that's my everything. So to act like you've lost something so special and go home and be able to hold them again, that's got to be an incredible feeling of relief and, not being able to take things for granted.
Yeah. But I mean, as an actor, it's pretend. And
Hmm.
so it's just like you want to honor that story and you just go right into that of also just like, well, I just pretended he never existed to begin with.
Right.
So, and then that's where it's like fun too, where because then there's the shock that comes in from the
Yes.
other characters of like, wait, what? Yeah, it was great.
Which, yeah, especially for a mother. That's one of those ones where you're like, really? Okay. Because that's something we all, again, I feel like we're going to get off on spoiler territory, and I don't want to do that because
Let's
once
do
we're
it.
done
Let's do
filming, there's a scene I really want to talk to you about. But
it.
um, Another thing I want to talk about is how passionate you are about voice and movement, because outside
Yeah.
of film, you do teach courses and workshops, and I think that's special. You do that in British Columbia, Canada, where you live with your boys. What got you into wanting to do teaching and try to help this newer generation of actors coming into the game?
It was actually my acting coach that reached out because we used to have a voice instructor who's in her 80s now come and do workshops. And when I'm saying voice, I'm not meaning voiceover. I'm actually meaning voice for actors. So not only for theater, but also for film. And
Okay.
so our body is our instrument. Our
Hmm.
voice is our instrument. If we don't have access, if we haven't rehearsed it, if we haven't worked on it, as in like almost like scales, like when you're working on a musical instrument, it's the same kind of thing for your body, for your breath, and for your voice. Also, one of the reasons why I can scream really well and not lose my voice. My instructor reached out to me and she's like, look, Iris can't really do these workshops anymore. She would love for you to come teach them. Are you willing? And I was like, I don't know. I was like in my 20s. I'm like, I'm not sure, but yeah, sure. I'll teach the warm ups. And then I loved it. I really
Yeah.
loved working with younger actors and making them feel empowered so that when they show up on set, they know exactly what they're capable of and they're ready to work. And I think
Hmm.
that to me is really exciting because that's also the kind of actors I want to work with
Sure.
who are just so available. And the only way that you do that is through practice.
Right. And, I've always said that being an actor is kind of like being a musician anyway, because when you're a stage actor, that's kind of like you're out there, you're doing your live performance. You can't cut, you can't go back to the start. You don't get different takes. This is you're doing your show, you're playing in front of people, your instrument is your body, and you're going and you're good. When you're filming a movie or a TV show, that's kind of like recording an album. If you have a bad take, you can go back and do your retake. And I've always thought that these two had such a similarity between them. And with you saying, your voice is your musical instrument, it kind of verifies what I've never claimed to be the smartest guy in the room. Like that's never been something I've ever claimed and never will. But to hear that type of validity to me of I'm kind of onto something a little bit here, that's really cool. So I'm glad that you took to it and it's something that you love to do because teaching is very special and very hard, but extremely rewarding when you get to see whether it's teaching in a classroom, teaching in an acting, teaching to your children, when you see them, people putting together what you're teaching them and using it, it's the best feeling in the world. So I'm so proud that you get to feel that type of warmth when you're doing your job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. So, in order for you, Kendra, to be in these amazing horror movies, whether it's Horns or whether it's an amazing TV show like The Last of Us, one of the greatest video game adaptations, or gateway horror like Pumpkinhead that just released on Tubi, I have that link in the description, so please make sure you're checking it out, as well as Kendra's social media links. So make sure you're following her to stay up to date on all the amazing things she has coming up for us as well. But in order to do that, horror had to start for you somewhere, Kendra. So now I would like to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Kendra, your first horror movie was
Candyman. I won't say it
what?
5 times. Just once.
we we'll put a counter down here at the bottom to make sure.
How many times I
Um,
say it? Oh no. Oh gosh.
but this is such a great start to your horror life, and I think this is a movie that has aged so gracefully, and it's still so damn scary to this day, and unfortunately, still extremely relevant in the times that we're living in. So, do you remember about how old you were the first time you had seen it?
Yeah, it was grade 7, Halloween,
Wow,
in my friend's
that
basement. Yeah, we'd gone trick
where
or
it always
treating.
starts.
I know it's a group of us, and like I'm a chicken. I am not. I really like. I like to be scared, but I usually like to be scared in the daytime with the windows open. So like nighttime in the basement, yeah, we're all piled on like the old falling apart couch, just classic,
Yeah.
classic moment. And yeah,
Hmm.
that was the movie that we put on. So, I'm under a blanket hiding when I need to for those parts, but really trying to like keep face and be like, I can handle it.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're not the weak one here. You're one of the
No,
strong
no,
ones.
no,
I got
no.
this.
And then I
So I
couldn't,
know you
yeah.
no, go
I,
ahead.
I couldn't look in a mirror for like 2 months after that. Cause I thought even if I thought Candyman, okay.
Oh,
If I even thought it, he would appear. So I couldn't even look in a mirror.
I love this so much because I a part of the reason I love to do this podcast, honestly, is because growing up, I didn't have a lot of people in my life outside of my immediate family that were big horror fans. And so to talk to people that were growing up in different sides of the world in different places that felt the exact same way I did, and were watching the same things I did, and were fans of the same things that I was, it's so amazing. And hearing you tell these stories, and I felt the same way about this movie. I won't say his name either. We'll leave the counter at two. Um, Daniel Robitaille, I'll go with his real name. Daniel Robitaille scared the shit out of me, and Tony Todd acted the hell out of this role. He was so great in this role. I know you were watching it with your friends. You guys are Halloween night, you're getting scared. You already got hopefully went to the good neighborhood and got your full-size candy bars.
Oh
But
yeah.
do you remember which scene it was, Kendra, that affected you the most?
Uh Honestly, the first scene, because it's like it sets the stage. It's the urban legend that's being told in voiceover, and so then you see the babysitter and those shenanigans and the looking in the mirror.
If you look in the mirror and you say his name 5 times, he'll appear behind you, breathing down your neck.
And it's that jump scare flash with the lights go out
Hmm.
and you just see the vision behind. Oh my, and I have such a vivid imagination. I know that kill is not, epic at all with just like the blood coming through the ceiling, but I could imagine the whole thing while they're telling it. It freaked me out. Yeah, that
There's
seems that's in my mind. Like that one comes back to me.
there's nothing scarier than what I can imagine. you know
Yes.
so to leave it to our imagination sometimes I think is one of the best things you can do, because like I
Yeah.
can imagine what's going on up in that bedroom. you know and the
Yeah.
fact now that I'm younger, or I'm older, and I know that that's Ted Raimi as the babysitter, or
I
the
know.
babysitter's boyfriend, like that makes that scene so much better for me. We
Agreed.
got to meet Ted, and he's just the coolest, nicest, sweetest guy in the world. And I
Oh,
told him, I was like, dude, I'm such a fan of you and Candyman. He's like, dude, I hear that so much and it blows my mind. He's like, I never thought anybody would feel any way about that movie.
yeah.
So it's really amazing to see that that was one of the scenes that affected you. And I
Yeah.
really think that with this movie, for me as a young boy watching this for the first time, when you see the little boy that got his penis cut off, that was one for me that was like, that was that was relatable to me. That was my peer, and I
Yeah.
put myself in that situation. And there's a lot of scenes like that. And even when you have Tony in that parking garage and you hear him say it for the first time, Helen, Helen. That whole thing is just like, yeah, oh my God, like he was, you could not have written this any better than to have Tony play that role. Like, God puts people on
Agreed.
this planet for a certain reason. Tony was put on this planet for this role in this movie. And don't get me wrong, Tony's a fantastic actor that did so many amazing things. But he just completely nailed this role in this movie. So we talked a
Agreed.
little bit about the opening
Yeah.
and the kill there. This movie is not at a lack of kills throughout. Was that the kill that affected you the most, or was there another one that maybe stuck with you a little more?
Oh, the doctor one, the with the hook in the back while she's talking and he doesn't believe her, so she says it in the mirror, the name. And then it's like the scare of that. And it's so like gruesome. And for somebody that hadn't seen horror before, it was
Sure.
shocking the amount of blood. Must have been so fun as an actor. Like all the squib packs and everything. So fun. Yeah, that scene was that. And it went on a while. Like he really
Yes.
like, yeah.
We talk about how scary, this film is, but we don't talk about how great and magnificent the practical effects throughout are. We always talk
The
about Tony being
bees.
covered in bees, and like he got stung in his mouth, and they used baby bees, so it wasn't, too bad. But guys, those are real bees. There was no CGI done to those
CGI.
bees that are covered Tony. And um, like you said, that moment where they're going through his back, or here's a fun story. I don't know if you know this or not. I've
Tell
gotten
me.
to hear this talked about. There's this scene where Helen goes into Cabrini Green and she's in the room with the mirror, and the hook comes through the mirror and it jump
Yeah,
scares
yeah.
her and she runs away. They didn't tell her he was going to do that.
I
Her
heard about that.
reaction is totally just completely real in that moment. And Tony said he felt this big, like he wanted to tell her so bad, like this is what we're doing. But the director, they were like, no, you can't tell her. We got to let this happen. And that was a real genuine jump scare that made it into the film.
So good.
Yeah.
Did you hear too about the hypnotizing, that they hypnotized her for real?
Yes.
That, as an
That's
actor, that was so fascinating to hear what she did. And then at one point, she's like, I don't feel comfortable with this anymore because she couldn't even remember shooting for the day.
that to me is
Crazy.
where it would be like, no, I'm not doing this shit anymore, man. Like, you're not putting me under anymore if I can't remember my day. Like, that's absolutely phenomenal. For those of
Yeah.
you that haven't, I know I've talked about this in the past. If you're not a fan of the YouTube channel Dead Meat, check out his episode on Candyman. He did a fantastic deep dive into this, and I think that it's very much worth the watch. Even if you're not into the whole kill count thing, the episode is extremely educational, and I believe that's where I heard about the jump scare for the first time. But
Me too.
yeah, so if you guys haven't checked that out, the way they covered the whole movie was just completely incredible. So please go and check that out too, because it's an amazing episode that's very, very informative. We now know Candyman, Kendra, is shit. We're at 3 on the counter. This movie
I'm not
is
gonna put. It's a fun game. It's a fun game.
this movie is a franchise now. We have the
Yeah.
3 originals, and then we had the requel, essentially. Um, have you seen all the films? And if so, which one was your favorite?
No, it couldn't. Just the first.
Oh, you
It
haven't even
freaked
seen
me
the
out.
requel.
No, it freaked me out. I couldn't do it. But now I'll have to, okay? I will. I'll see it.
You can skip 3.
Okay.
Um, I think
Okay.
2 is very underrated. It's not great, but it's still very good. And the requel, actually, the newest one, picks up right after the events of part 1.
Okay.
So I think that is something that you'll enjoy if you're a
All
fan of the
right.
first one. So, um,
Tomorrow,
I've had
yeah,
it.
tomorrow. Tomorrow's Halloween. I'll watch
There
it.
you go. There you go. And you got to text me after and let me know what you thought. I would really
I will.
appreciate it.
I will.
So, I love talking about Candyman, and that's 4. I won't do it again. I will not do it again. And what this movie means to you, obviously, but something that I like to ask here, and I never tell anybody that I'm going to ask this question. I love to make this one. I want to throw a little bit of a curveball at you. My
Okay.
little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Kendra? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
The Witch.
Oh,
Thank you.
fantastic,
Thank you.
fantastic choice.
I mean, I feel like I'm not gonna say it, but the one that we're talking about previous with the man and all of those candies, uh, I feel like that's a film. Like, yes, it's a horror movie, but like to me, it's art.
Oh
And
yeah.
I feel the same about The Witch. There is like one scene in The Witch that it lives rent free in my mind. I can't get it out of my head of her sitting in the chair and she's like breastfeeding the baby, but then they pull back and it's all the crows
All the
actually
crows.
like pecking at her and she's bleeding and from her breasts and it's just like visceral and horrific and so beautiful too, like haunting.
Hmm.
I love that.
I mean, we talked earlier about period pieces. Like this is a
I know.
fantastic period piece.
Yeah.
The Old English and everything that they do throughout. I always call it the Vivitch, but all the amazing things they're able to do in this movie. Is
Also
it a
children
movie?
disappearing.
Hmm. Also, that's another thing. Something that we're
Yeah.
all, as parents, there's no nightmare that's any
Biggest fear.
worse. Yes, 110%. Um, And I'm glad that you threw out more of a modern film, because the reason I don't tell anybody I'm going to ask this question is just because of the sheer fact that I think if I give you time to think about it, you're going to come up with why something. But if I ask you just off the seat of your pants, I know that's an honest answer, and
Oh
I think
yeah.
that that's an incredible answer. So,
I love that.
we've talked about Tony Todd and we've talked about the Vivitch and all these amazing things, but before I let you go, we always bounce back to the same question, Kendra. We're going to go back to that film that started for you, and we're going to rank this on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking it on acting, production, score, direction. We're not being critics. All we're doing is ranking that film on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Kendra, what would your skull ranking be of that film?
4.
Right there.
I think 4. I couldn't look in the mirror for like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like it
I mean,
really
to
affected
say,
me at that age, and I was so impressionable. I remember how I felt and going home. Oh yeah, like with my house being dark, I was freaked out.
yeah,
I don't think anything affected me like that until Texas Chainsaw Massacre than that one. But that one's like different because it's, there's way more gore. Like that really like threw me off.
sure. That one
But no, I think
definitely
four.
is more of a gut punch for sure.
Yeah,
Um, I just think that it's amazing that this movie is still so prevalent today and prevalent. I said it wrong the first time.
relevant and
Prevalent.
prevalent. Yeah,
Look,
prevalent.
it's still so important today. Let's go with that
It
one.
is. I didn't
Um,
realize how political it was at the time in grade
one of
7.
my
Didn't
favorite
know.
scenes in this movie, and we didn't catch this as kids, at least I didn't, but there's a scene where Helen is talking and she says,
2 people get brutally murdered and the cops do nothing. Whereas a white woman goes in there and gets attacked and they lock the place down.
Yeah, I know.
and it's one of those things where, and unfortunately, I'm not going to get political here. I will not do that. But if this movie was released today, they would call it woke garbage. And it's still preaching the same message now that it was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that it's still glazed over. But a movie like Candyman, damn it, we said it 5 times. He's
I gotta
here.
go. I gotta run.
Yep. He showed up. He's here to get us. That was a fun little game, by the way. I was hoping to make it to 5 just so I could do that to you.
Oh man.
But it's just, I think it's so important to remember that a movie can have a political message and still be a terrifying movie at the same time. So I think that's something important for all of us to remember. So I know I said this at the beginning, guys, but we're at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, I want to remind you I have all of Kendra's social media links, as well as the Tubi link for R.L. Stine's Pumpkinhead, right down in the description, guys. So please make sure you're checking out the film. Make sure you're following her on social media so you can stay up to date on all the amazing things she's going to have coming up for us in the future. Kendra, please don't go anywhere. I have a couple more questions for you.
Cool.
Everyone else, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Those links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.